So I'm Tim Brown, I'm the CEO of IDEO, and we've been working both in Silicon Valley and around the world for the last 30 years, solving innovation problems and challenges from a design-based approach. And we work on things ranging from high-tech products to service systems to designing new organizations to help companies be more creative. Companies like Bank of America, we did their Keep the Change programs, service systems for Kaiser Permanente. We've recently finished designing a whole new school system for Peru, where we got to design the schools, the curriculum, the business model, every campus across 200 schools. Well, service systems, things that we do for other people are a vast part of our economy, obviously. And some of them are very visible, things like, taking an airline flight or checking into a hotel or using your bank. Others are less obvious, but equally important, like the education system or the health system. And so, as designers, we think about what are the things that we can do to improve the experience of the world for as many people as possible. And it turns out services are often the place where you can make the most difference. We've seen a growth in sort of the application of design and innovation to services steadily for the last 15, 20 years. 15 or 20 years ago, most service companies, their idea of innovation was, hey, we'll put up a different poster, or maybe we'll design a different product if we're a bank, but more and more companies now realize they have to be as innovative as traditionally we might have thought manufacturers like Apple or Sony have had to be. I noticed quite a long time ago that some companies were coming to ask us to work on things that didn't look like products, and were asking us, can we apply our approach to these broader range of problems, and so that's why we started talking about design thinking as being this sort of universal approach that could be applied to products, could be applied to services, it can be applied to systems. There are some unique properties of services that are particularly important to think about when one's thinking about designing them. Firstly is, of course, they happen over time, so they're more like software than hardware. We tend to think of hardware, physical objects as being static in time, and in fact they're not, but we tend to think of them that way. Well, services most certainly aren't. There's a narrative to them, there's a story to them. And so that means that designing with time, essentially, is a very important part of designing services. Secondly, they involve the interaction normally between people. Technology may be enabling those interactions, but very often they're interactions between people. And so thinking about the behavior of people as one of the design elements of a service is also very important. So in that way, it's more like choreography or designing a piece of stage theater. And often when we talk about one of the concepts in service design is often creating a stage for people to act out on. So there are some interesting notions and some ideas and important things to remember with service design that are a little different from the engineering of a piece of machinery or the design of a product. Innovation is doing anything new and getting it out into the world from any different perspective. I think when we look at a design approach to innovation, we're looking at it very much from a kind of human-centered perspective. So how do we make those new things as appropriate and as delightful and as meaningful and as useful to people as possible? And that's really the role of design. I would see the continued growth of services, often enabled, in fact almost always enabled by technology, as being an enormous opportunity for students, enormous opportunity to be entrepreneurial if you want to start up new businesses. Companies are surprisingly slow, existing companies are surprisingly slow to recognize new opportunities. I think there are many places where imaginative people could create new offerings, new businesses. So I think that's interesting. I think understanding the fact that almost every role that you can play in almost every organization these days is essentially some kind of service system. You're in some kind of service system. Even if you're in a large company that manufactures, most people within that organization are actually providing services, either to the customer or consumer or to other people in the organization. And so almost whatever job you end up in, whether you're an accountant, an engineer, a software programmer, a restaurateur, whatever it might be, you're almost certainly involved in the delivery of services. And so thinking about how to make that better, both for yourself and others in the system, is going to create opportunities. So understanding how services work, understanding how services systems work, the things you can do to improve them, I think is important for pretty much everybody.